Eddyline has these side knee pads, and I'm stuck in a tree. So I'm going to re-record this when I get myself out of here. We are in beautiful Northern California, and I'm going to be talking to you about my beautiful Eddyline Sky 10 kayak. Now, when I got the Sky 10, it was kind of the equivalent of when you figure out what your favorite pen to use is. One that you use, mine is a Pilot G2 ballpoint pen, but that's completely besides the point because we're not talking about pens. But you just get this sense of efficiency, of completeness when you're writing with it. You get this sense that all is right with the pen that you're using, and that's kind of how I feel about this kayak. I may have messed up this morning. I went out as the tide was going out. So I don't know if you can tell, but I was totally right about the tide. This is getting very shallow. But this is another reason that I love this kayak, is because it sits so high on the water, but there's still a little bit of a keel in there to give you that stability and tracking. So let's just hope I don't get stranded out here. Otherwise, I'm just gonna have to make that one stale sandwich I made earlier last longer than I'd hoped it would. One of the reasons that I love the Sky 10 is because it is just fast enough. It's not necessarily blazing through the water at blistering speeds, and you're not going to be breaking the sound barrier, but the hull design is very slim and it tracks well despite being a shorter kayak at only 10 feet. This kayak accelerates very quickly. Just given its weight and its size, you are going to start paddling and be at your cruising speed in just a second or two. I absolutely love the Sky 10. Something about it, it just has to do with its portability. It only weighs 32 pounds, I think. It just goes on top of your car and out of your car with no back problems whatsoever. At least not yet. My back is still okay, but I'm gonna go and give that another 10 years. This thing is remarkably easy to get onto your car. At 32 pounds, this is just featherweight. And it really shows when you're paddling around in it. It really shows when you're trying to get it onto your car and off of your car. Now, it's got two bulkheads, so just in case you want to store a bunch of sandwiches in the back and not have seawater or fresh water get all over them, and they help keep your old ship from sinking. One of the bulkhead storage compartments. You look in there, plenty of room for your sandwiches and candy and your diary and your notebook and your Twizzlers and your nerds. And here is the second bulkhead compartment. Plenty of space for your lollipops and some ice cream and some candy and some sandwiches. There are the two foot pedals at the back there. They're both adjustable. Here is this very comfortable and adjustable seat that's padded for your booty and for your back with hip pads and knee pads. I'm about 5'11", and it works perfectly for me. I have plenty of room, and there's room for plenty more. But you may want to consider something a teeny bit bigger if you're punching up there. If you're 7 to 8 feet tall and 250, 300 pounds, first of all, congratulations on being 7 to 8 feet tall and 250 to 300 pounds. That's an absolute genetic specimen. This might not be the kayak for you. The phenomena I want to talk about right now is the idea of a beginner's kayak turning you away from buying the actual kayak. I myself have done quite a bit of kayaking. I am by no means an advanced kayaker jumping off of 8 million foot rocks doing a handstand on the top of the kayak. But when I was purchasing this kayak, there's text that says this is a great kayak for beginners. And part of you may want to go, well, I'm not a beginner, I'm advanced. I need a kayak because I'm so advanced. This kayak will suit you so well as long as you are not going down heavy rapids and as long as you're not going out in the middle of the ocean with 10-foot waves. So don't let it deter you from purchasing it. This is a very headache-free kayak, which is, I think, why it's called a beginner's kayak. It's got a nice open top here. There's plenty of room for my legs. So you will enjoy it. Look, I'm not a billionaire. I definitely don't have $1 billion, and that's one of the reasons that I chose this. However, don't think that you're not getting the best of the best just because this isn't $1 billion. In fact, it's a good thing that you're not spending a ridiculous amount of money on something that you're using for fun. Otherwise, you're going to be just stressed out about using it. But all of these flies love it, and I do too. And you just don't need $1 billion, and you also don't need $1 million kayak. One of the things I want to address is something I mentioned earlier, and that's about the efficiency of this kayak in the water. I'm very spoiled. I grew up and I rode crew, and we had fancy $80,000 carbon fiber rowing boats that just looked expensive, were expensive, and I was very spoiled. You just don't necessarily need that all the time for recreational kayaking. You don't need something that's just covered in carbon fiber and red accents like a Ferrari. We're out here in nature, you know? Nature is not made out of carbon fiber. For the longest time, everybody was just doing it in things made out of wood. And that's heavy, but they were going distances that were, 20 times the distances that we were going, and they did just fine. So I think we'll be just fine too. And this is a very efficient, lightweight, and really maneuverable kayak at its price point, and I am just loving every second of it. I mean, I'm not out here racing anybody. Who is there to race? Does it look like I'm racing anybody? Because I personally don't think that it looks like I'm racing anybody. And I came out here to relax and enjoy the scenery and look at all of the birds and bees and all of the lovely flora and fauna. And I'm not trying to race past all of it. All I really need is something that's going to get me through the water comfortably at a reasonable speed. Eddyline is made out of a durable composite plastic. I forget the exact name for it, but there's definitely some chemistry involved there. All you need to know is that it's lightweight, it's durable, it's not carbon fiber, but we don't need carbon fiber or fiberglass to have a good time. This does a great job of it. It's rigid, so there's not a lot of flex in the body, and I'm just loving every second of it. I don't mind how kayaks look. I guess if it's in the shape of a thumb or a willy or just some other weird object, I'd probably mind, but this is great. I mean, look at it. It looks so good. It looks so good, and that is something that you can't deny.
I think we're sort of stuck here.
Yeah, we're totally screwed out here. Well, never say never.